So the name of the class is Be the Leader You Want to Follow. Alright, because when he said it, I was like, dang, that's an excellent class. That's an excellent class. I would definitely do that. Alright? So be the leader you want to follow. So to honestly do this class, the first thing you should do is examine yourself. Because if you're wise, you're like, dang, that's great. Am I the leader that I want to follow myself? That's the standpoint you should be at if you're in the spirit. That's the first thing I did. If you're out in the spirit, you're going to look at the men and women over you right now, you're going to say, they not doing what I would if I was in that position. But we're going to go through the scriptures. And we're going to see. We're going to see how we should roll. So go to James 15, John, caught myself that time. John 15 and 15. I ain't say Sirach.
The book of John, chapter 15, verse 15. Henceforth, I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth.
Read.
But I have called you friends, for all things that I have heard of my Father, I have made known unto you.
Read.
Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you.
So, I wanted to start there for y'all to understand. No matter what position you at, whether you're head of a camp or you just walked in today, each and every one of us in here are chosen vessels of God. Christ chose each and every one of us to be here, and that's the spirit we should be rolling in. Nobody should ever have their head down, should never be not communicating, feel like you're left out, feel like you're lonely, you're by yourself. That's not the spirit we should be rolling in. All of us are chosen, handpicked of Christ. That's what the Bible says. Y'all understand that? Y'all in agreement with that?
Yes, sir.
Alright, good. So, being the leader you want to follow. Who is everybody's leader in here? Christ. Christ is the leader. Christ is the leader. I pray y'all understand it. So at the end of the day, if all of us are chosen of Christ, who's the example we follow? Christ. Alright? Good. Go to Ephesians 4 and 13. So let's see. What is the first leader we should follow? Because we can't always just follow Christ or the Most High, because they're not down here. From the Old Testament till today, who did Christ and the Most High always set up for us? Huh? Who said that? Raise your hand. Give him the mic. One brother showed up this week. Sheesh.
Yeah, Christ always set up leaders for us.
There you go. The Most High and Christ always set up leaders. And they're what? What are they?
They're officers, and they're supposed to follow the commands.
Right, but what are they in general? What are they? What type of person are they?
They're wise and eloquent.
Yeah, my question may be too simple for you. I forgot you deep. They're what? They're carnal what?
People.
They're men. They're men. He set up men, fallible men, and fallible women that were not perfect to lead. Y'all understand that, right?
Sure.
Because I want to make sure I drive this home. Bishop said all the time, if you want to find something wrong with somebody, can you do it?
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sisters find something wrong with Beyonce. They're like, yeah, she ain't all that. She ain't all that. Look at the toes, though. Look at the toes. Hey, brothers be like, Tyrese ain't all that. I know he got a 6-pack, but he should have an 8-pack. You can find something wrong with somebody if you want to. Understand that. You can look all day. On the flip side, if you want to look at the positives of brothers and sisters, you should be able to name a lot of those too. Am I right?
Sir.
That's how we should look. That's how Christ looked at us when he called us out of darkness. He said, this brother can do this or can do that. When he called the disciples, he said, follow me. This brother, y'all going to be fishers of men. He didn't look at what he couldn't do. He didn't say, well, this brother can't count. He probably ain't going to be a good fisher. No, he said, all right, good. I'll take you with what you can do. Ephesians 4 and 13, read that.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 13. Till we all come into the unity of the faith.
Hold on. Read that part again. Till what?
Till we all.
Till we all. Till we all. So understand, there's a scripture. Give me that in John 7, is it? Take the beam out of that on now. Matthew 7. So it says, till we all come into the full measure of Christ. So when you want to point fingers, 7:3. Matthew 7:3. When you want to point fingers, always examine yourself first. Read that.
The book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 3. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye?
Right. Consider not the beam that is in thine own eye. I went there first while we're reading Ephesians to show you all of us have to measure up to Christ. Not just the officers of 50, not just the leadership wives, not just the soldiers. All of us on the same path to the measure of Christ. Y'all understand that?
Sure.
Some of us just have more understanding of the scriptures. We've been here longer, so we're over you in the Lord. Alright, that's it. You ain't got a mic? Oh, you got a mic? Alright.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Go back to Ephesians 4:13.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 13. Till we all come into the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, unto a perfect man.
Unto what?
A perfect man.
So all of us on the same mission to become the perfect man, to become the perfect woman. Because this ain't just a class about the men. Sisters need leaders as well. Read.
Unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ.
Unto the measure and stature and the fullness of Christ. What did Christ do? Or what didn't he do? I want a hand, I want a hand, I want a hand. All right, let me hit the brother right in the back. What's your name, bro?
O'Shea.
O'Shea? Okay. What did Christ didn't do?
What Christ didn't do?
Oh, what? Go ahead. Answer me for what I asked the first time. I'm sorry.
Well, Christ did what he was sent to do,
right?
Just to get the gospel all to the diaspora,
right?
To make sure we know we know who we are. We walk in the statutes and commandments, and he also taught us to examine ourselves.
Okay, good. Now, I'm going to ask you this. What didn't he do?
What didn't he do?
Yeah.
Be effeminate.
True. What else?
Also, he never fell into divers lusts.
Right, correct. Sum it up in a word.
I'm sorry?
Sum it up in one word. You going down the right path.
He never go against the scriptures.
Right? So he didn't do what?
Sin.
There you go. There you go. So that's the measure we all trying to get to. Y'all understand that, right?
Yes, sir.
Was David counted perfect?
Yes, sir.
David was counted perfect. Did he sin?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So understand, on our path to perfection, there's going to be steps to get there. There's going to be steps to get there. So remember that. Remember that. All right. And I'm going here first to show you the whole nation of Israel, every last one of us, we were chosen to be leaders. Y'all understand that?
Sure.
All of us were chosen to be leaders. And that's why the class is really not even about, well, I ain't going to spill it. I ain't going to spill it first. I'm going to tell it at the end.
Yeah.
19:5.
Exodus chapter 19, verse 5.
There we go.
Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me. So
when we keep the commandments, we're going to be a peculiar treasure unto the Most High. Read.
Above all people.
What?
Above all people.
Above all people. Now, it was just the captains and the officers, were they just above all people? Was the whole nation? The whole nation. The whole nation is above all people. Read.
Above all people, for all the earth is mine.
Read.
And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests.
And ye shall be what?
A kingdom of priests.
Read.
And an holy nation.
Read.
These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
So we're going to be a nation of priests. Y'all understand that, right? If you got a nation of priests, each and every one of them individuals are leaders. That's how we got to roll. That's how we got to roll. You got to roll as if you are a priest. That's got to be the mindset. And who's the high priest? Christ. Christ is the high priest. And all of us fall subject to him. All right. Go ahead.
I just want to back you up on that, because we've gone over this before. One of the reasons why we ask if you have questions is to what? Build your spirit up, right? He said that we should all be a kingdom of priests. That's what the Bible says, right? Give me one scripture right quick. Numbers 11, 27 through 29. Just want to get to the point.
The book of Numbers, chapter 11, verse 27. And there ran a young man and told Moses and said, Eldad and Medad do prophecy in the camp. And Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of Moses, one of his young men answered and said, My lord Moses, forbid them. And Moses said unto him, Enviest thou for my sake? Would God that all the Lord's people were prophets.
Read that part again.
Would God that all the Lord's people were prophets.
So God would require all of us to be prophets. Because like the captain brought up, the whole nation is above all the other people. We all supposed to be teaching the other nations the law, statutes, and commandments. We all supposed to be a light unto the Gentiles. So it's not just one. You don't just, like the class says, you going to follow the leader that you want to become or be, right? So, all right.
Hey, I say something, Cap?
Who that? Oh, today? Oh, snap. What is this, brother? Hey, if y'all didn't know, it's my long lost brother from Tallahassee. Somehow he done found his way down.
What's wrong with your microphones down here?
Hey, we cut your mic. Hey, cut his mic.
Hey, they already cut it. There you go. So don't be, hey, you know
Check. Shalom, everybody. I'm Officer David. I'm in Tallahassee camp. I know Cap just said that. I pootie tank. It's on purpose. All right, I want to go back to that scripture in Exodus that Cap just pulled in 19.
The book of
read 6 again.
The book of Exodus, chapter 19, verse 6.
We'll start at 5.
Verse 5. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine.
All right, Cap just said that we're all supposed to be leaders. All right, I want you to jump down to verse 8. All right, all of us had heard these words at this time. Oh, okay, believe them? All of us was present. Okay, read verse 8.
Verse 8. And all the people answered together and said, all that the Lord had spoken, we will do.
What did we say?
We will do.
All of us was present. All right, when he told us these words, all of us responded, what you have said, now we're going to do. All right, and why do we find ourselves in 2019 being slack? On the shine away from leadership. I don't want to follow the proper examples put forth out there. Read on.
And Moses returned the words of the people unto the Lord.
And he told on you. Moses went and told God on you. All the things I told the people, all of them had heard it, and all of them had replied, we're going to do those things. Read on.
And the Lord said unto Moses, Lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee.
Read.
And believe thee forever.
How long?
Forever.
Forever. So these words are holding weight to this day. Read.
And Moses told the words of the people unto the Lord.
He told on you again to stamp it home. So all of us have signed up to be leaders. All of us have to take that road. All right.
That's heavy. Dang, I didn't think about that. Bringing them Tallahassee understanding down here. All praises. Spirit has descended upon you.
Man, they forgot they signed up.
1 Peter 2 and 9. 1 Peter 2 and 9.
The book of 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation.
But what?
But ye are a chosen generation.
There you go again. Just like we said earlier, Christ chose us. Peter had to retell the people what they already knew. What they already learned back in Exodus. Read.
A royal priesthood.
A what?
A royal priesthood.
And not just a normal priesthood. Being a priest is bad. But now you a royal priesthood. That's like being in the NFL, but then you make the Pro Bowl. You get to go to Hawaii. You're on another level. Read.
But ye are a royal priesthood. And holy nation. A peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light.
You see that? We should show forth his works. This is what he tells us we should be doing. Alright? As leaders. Titus chapter 2 and start at verse 1.
The book of Titus chapter 2 and verse 1.
So what we're showing you right now is that all of us were called to be leaders. Then we'll deal with the leader that you want to follow part. Alright? Go ahead.
But speak thou the things which become sound doctrine, that the aged men be sober.
That the aged men be sober. Read.
Grave. Temperate. Sound in faith, in charity, in patience.
Read.
The aged women likewise.
The aged woman likewise. What is this showing you? That you sisters have a role to play as well. Just as the men in the church. The same way for you sisters. It's not a one-sided thing. That's what a lot of times brothers and sisters, they come in and they don't understand that. They think it's just a men thing because we go to camp. It says likewise, meaning in the same manner. They have the same expectations. Read.
That they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things.
Read.
That they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed.
So, what's so important about this is that he puts it right in line and in order. The same way the men are to be leaders is the same way the women are to be leaders. And these are some of the traits that you should possess if you want to be a leader. Read.
To young men likewise, exhort to be sober-minded in all things, shewing thyself a pattern of good works, in doctrine, shewing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity, sound speech that cannot be condemned, that he that is of contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you.
Read.
Exhort servants to be obedient unto their own masters, and to please them well in all things, not answering again, not prolonging, but showing all good fidelity, that they may adorn the doctrine of God our Savior in all things. For the grace of God that bringeth salvation hath appeared to all men.
For the what?
For the grace of God that bringeth salvation hath appeared to all men.
So what it's letting you know is that all of us were given the same opportunity to be a leader and to abide and adorn ourselves in the traits that we just learned. It's not an excuse for anybody. If everybody's in these seats, we all have the same opportunity to do the same things. Because the grace of God has appeared unto all men. It's up to you at what level you want to take it to. Read.
Teaching us that, denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world.
Read.
Looking for that blessed hope and the glorious appearing of the great God and our Savior, Jesus Christ, who gave himself for us, that he might redeem us from all iniquity, and purify unto himself a peculiar people.
No, a peculiar officer of 50.
A peculiar people.
No, a peculiar captain's wife.
A peculiar people.
Because all of us were given the same grace of God, all of us were called to be a peculiar people. What makes us peculiar, brothers? Let me see if somebody been studying. Alright, Jude, I know you know it. Come on, Jude. Come with it. Come with it, so you better bring it on. We put a lot into you. Better get it.
It's Wisdom of Solomon 19:6. The laws.
There you go. We roll with that one, and then we go to the next one. Go ahead.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 19, verse 6. For the whole creature in its proper kind was fashioned again anew, serving the peculiar commandments.
Serving what?
The peculiar commandments.
Serving what?
The peculiar commandments that were given unto them, that thy children might be kept without hurt.
So, what makes us peculiar as a nation? Keeping the commandments. Because the commandments are peculiar. Who knows what peculiar means?
Doctrine changing that really like that.
What doctrine changed the name? Carmel.
Peculiar means distinctive, set apart, odd.
There you go, odd. Odd. That's what makes us odd as a nation, the commandments. Because the rest of the world right now, on Saturdays, what their mind set on? Right, it's a day of do whatever you want, right? You go to the movies, you get your Saturday shopping, you play Saturday sports for your children, because Monday through Friday, they can't do it for some reason. But Saturday, set up for sports, shopping, movies, sex, everything. So it's odd when we say, oh, work, overtime. So it's odd when we say we don't do all these things on Saturday. It's odd for you not to shave your beard. It's odd for you not to sleep around from woman to woman to woman. It's odd, very odd, that you women don't wear pants. Why you do that? It's odd that you respect your husband. It's odd that black men have jobs and you pay your bills. That's odd.
Take care of your kids.
Hold on, you got how many kids? 5? Where they live at? With you? Huh? It's weird. Never heard of that before. That's odd. Go ahead, you want to add on that?
Yeah, that shows you that Christianity has failed us because the curses is Deuteronomy 28:37. We will become a proverb and a byword. That all the things that the captain is mentioning, that's fallen upon us right now, right? Just like this, how you know how odd it is. If you say, I don't eat pork, what do people automatically assume you are? Muslim. The Christians don't even know that's in the Bible. Because why? They don't keep the commandments.
The peculiar commandments. They don't keep them. They keep the 10.
Barely.
They keep the big 10. Nah, they don't even keep the big 10. Not the big 10. You had something?
Yes, sir. Can I add on to that? Just to show how the nations feel about us. Let's go to Esther in the Apocrypha. Esther chapter 13, 4, and 5. Just to sum it up, it's exactly how they feel about us. They think we're strange. They think we're crazy.
The book of Esther in the Apocrypha, chapter 13, verse 4. Declared unto us that in all nations throughout the world there was scattered a certain malicious people that had laws contrary to all nations.
Do they not call us a malicious people searching for identity? What they call us, the black identity extremists? That's what the malicious people. Read.
And continually despise the commandments of kings.
Because we don't celebrate Christmas. We don't celebrate holidays. Or at my job they have what is it with the rainbow? They have a sodomite week, a sodomite month. They don't call it that, but that's the
LBGT.
Yeah, a whole month. But they ain't have nothing for Black History Month.
Right.
All right, read.
So as the uniting of our kingdoms, honorably intended by us, cannot go forward.
So they say them keeping their laws that are contrary to us, it holds us back from doing what we want to do. Read.
Seeing then, we understand that this people alone is continually in opposition unto all men.
Unto all men. By keeping the laws of God, we're in opposition continually to all men. Can you read it?
Differing in the strange manner of their laws.
That's what it's talking about, the peculiar laws. To them it's a strange manner because we're set apart. We're chosen above all the people upon the face of the earth. And that's why in the scriptures it said that Sarah, when she called her, without any amazement, she called her husband Lord without any amazement, because it was a strange thing to happen, but she didn't think of it as a strange manner. Keep reading.
And evil affected to our state, working all the mischief they can.
You see that? Working all the mischief they can by keeping God's commandments. Because when we stop eating pork, guess what? It's going to shut down the pork industry. When we stop buying Christmas trees and stop buying presents and holiday wrapping and all of that, guess what? It's going to shut down that holiday. It's an evil manner to them. Read.
That our kingdom may not be firmly established.
So the way to unestablish the kingdom of Babylon is what? To keep the commandments of God. That's a strange manner right there. All praises.
All praises.
I got you.
I got you. All right. So go back to Titus and pick up at verse 14.
The book of Titus, chapter 2, verse 14. Who gave himself for us, that he might redeem us from all iniquity, and purify unto himself a peculiar people, zealous of good works.
We're supposed to be a peculiar people, zealous of good works. Meaning you're desiring of good works. That's all you like, damn, how can I put in more bricks? Because Christ died for me. There's never enough I can do. Read.
These things speak and exhort and rebuke with all authority. Let no man despise thee.
And let no man despise you, because you're doing exactly what you're supposed to. Okay. So One of the first things we find ourselves saying, because we're going to go back, now we're going to get back on topic, being the leader you want to follow. One thing that we do when we come into the truth is we say, if I was in this position, or if I were in that position, I would do this, or I would do that. Am I speaking to myself? We might say that. We say that at times. We say that at times. But understand, the Most High God is looking at it different. Go to 1 Samuel 2 and 3. 1 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 3. The Most High ain't worrying about what we're saying. He worrying about what are you doing to change whatever it is that you won't change. Because I would pray if you're saying you wish you was in this position or that position, it's to solve a problem. And understand, you don't have to have a pen next to you to solve a problem. You can solve the problem. We have order for order's sake. You let the people over you certain stuff. You do need clearance to do. Like you just can't have an expo on yourself, you know. I'll let somebody know so we can get it set up. But for the most part, you can do the work. Read that.
1 Samuel chapter 2 verse 3. Talk no more so exceeding proudly. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth.
Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth. For you to say that you think you can do something better than somebody else. If I was this, or if I were that, or if I would, okay. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth. Why not?
For the Lord is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed.
By him what?
Actions are weighed.
By him actions are weighed. Actions are weighed. So understand, you are judged by your actions. I give you an example. If you come in today, your brother, you can't go to camp, right? Because you got to get built up in the scriptures. So let's say if I was in, and you say if I was the officer, and you watching the camp video, and I was in that situation, I would have went here, here, and here. Now, obviously you can't go to camp, but what you should do is make sure you're at Men of Valor, make sure you're at Camp 101, so you can put yourself in a position that, guess what? You can do that one day. But if you just say, I would do this, I would do that, and you're not taking the necessary steps to be there, you're fooling yourself. Y'all follow along with what I'm saying?
Sure.
Okay. Because the Most High God weighs what?
Actions.
Actions. He weighing the actions. Anybody can say anything. Israel talk more than anybody. What are you doing? Because I guarantee you, in the books that we don't got, that somebody said, man, I'm wiser than Solomon. I know he know mathematics, but I created algebra. I created it all. Solomon, he alright. He good with the Psalms, but I got some good stuff I can drop. So weigh your actions. Weigh your actions. From there, Luke 17. Luke 17. Be the leader you want to follow. Make sure you're about the work. Read that. Luke 17 and 20.
The book of Luke, chapter 17, verse 20. And when he was demanded of the Pharisees when the kingdom of God should come, he answered them and said, the kingdom of God cometh not with observation.
The what?
The kingdom of God cometh not with observation.
The kingdom of God is not going to come with observation, with us watching what's going on. You have to put in bricks wherever it is for the time being of where you're at. If you're a brother, if you're a soldier, if you're an officer, if you're a captain's wife, brother's wife, a sister's wife, or whatever. Not sister's wife. Can't be a sister's wife. If you're a sister's wife, we need to have counsel after. But you know what I'm talking about. Wherever you at, there's work to be done in whatever stage you at. Y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I'll give you an example. If you're a brother, we need foot soldiers. We need fly missions. We need help at the school to do different things. If you're a soldier, now you got a little bit more responsibility. Now you need to orchestrate the fly mission. Now you can help at the school. Now you can go to camp. If you're an officer, now you got to orchestrate the soldiers. You got to teach the soldiers. You got to go over different precepts with the soldiers. Now you're 50. Now you teach the nation. Now you travel. You go help set up other things. You help and set up the expos. Now you're a captain. Now you go set up different schools. You go to different states. You go to different countries. Now you're a deacon. Now you got to set up the whole nation. Now you got to deal with international affairs. You got to deal with how we're getting things done across 80, 90 different schools. Now you're a bishop. Now you got to oversee the souls of all these individuals, making sure you're exhorting all the people to do the work on all these different levels. You're being a visionary. So there's always work to be done. Understand, nobody's great. That's why it says, let the younger be subject to the elder. Because there's nothing we can do without each other. Y'all understand that?
Yes, sir.
Not anything we can do without other brothers and sisters. But you got to be, in 1 Peter it says, be content. Philippians, be content with where you're at. If you're a brother right now, take the best notes you can. Learn the best you can. So on and so forth, with whatever position you're at. You have to do that. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Let me get Exodus 18 and 21 right quick. To back up the point, because the captain just painted the picture of the building of the nation. A lot of times when I've spoken with him, he said, "This is, we have to have the same mindset as like a corporation." Okay, and the bishop is the CEO. When you have a problem and you want to, let's say you on the bottom level, okay, somebody newly hired, you have a problem, you don't go say, "I'm gonna go knock on the door of the CEO because I got a problem with you." That's not how it's set up. That's not how a corporation is run. That's not how the kingdom of heaven is run. Read that.
The book of Exodus chapter 18 verse 20. And thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shalt shew them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth.
Men of what?
Men of truth. Hating covetousness.
Hating covetousness. If you covet or desire a position, like Captain said, if you can't go to camp right now, start coming to Middle Valley. Start coming to Camp 101. Build yourself up that when the opportunity presents itself, you're already prepared. Read on.
And place such over them to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s.
And that goes for the body too. You see that the Most High God set up in the kingdom, he set up order. You may have a problem and you think it's the biggest problem ever because it's your problem. But did you reach out to the officer over you? Did you reach out to the sister over you? Or you want to go straight to the captains and the deacons? You want to go past the sister that's over you and go straight to the captain or the deacon's wife? Read on.
And let them judge the people at all seasons. And it shall be that every great matter they shall bring unto thee, but every small matter they shall judge.
So let the leaders judge that what is deemed a great matter or a small matter. Okay? All right, Captain.
All praises. All praises. Now I'm going to give another example on that. Dealing with a small matter versus a great matter. A small matter is sisters got to cover their whole head. That's a small matter. A heavy matter is if we're going to give a reward for a sister who's missing or not. And if we do this, this might cause the public to know certain things that may hinder the investigation. That's harder matters. You're dealing with people's lives and stuff like that. Those are high matters. Then you have small matters, things that only affect not even your daily life. The hair right here, it's not big. Those are small things. Y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So, you men coming up the ranks, those are the things. Understand, it starts small and it works big. It works big, all right? But be content with where you're at. So we're going over when you see something, be active. The Most High God is going to weigh your actions. I'm going to give you an example of somebody that didn't wait for somebody to adorn him as a leader. He didn't need a big congratulation. He saw a problem and he tackled it. That's how a lot of our forefathers were. They saw something wrong, they fixed it. Go to 1 Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 15.
The book of 1 Maccabees chapter 2 verse 15. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city Modin to make them sacrifice. And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together. Then answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias on this wise, Thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren. Now therefore come thou first, and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done, yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem. So shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends, And thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards.
So, Mattathias, who knows the story of Mattathias? Raise your hand if you don't know the story of Mattathias. If you don't. Okay, good. Hold on, raise your hand, raise your hand. You know the story of Mattathias, man. I know you ain't got on a purple shirt and you don't know who Mattathias is.
A little bit about it.
Alright. Oklahoma, I'm calling Deacon Abiel today. I'm calling Deacon Abiel. I know he don't went over the story of Mattathias before. But anyway, so I just want to see where we at. When you read the Grecian captivity, what happened was the Grecians came into our land and they were killing many of our brothers and sisters and they were making us live as Grecians. Mattathias was a priest, a son of a priest. Was he a man of war? Now he turned into a man of war. Was he a man of war by trade? No. You read all throughout the scripture, it said, how are we going to go into war knowing our hands are not... He's like, hey, I don't care. We're going to do this on behalf of our fathers. These were not men of war. These were priests. They killed sheep and lamb and oxen and he-goats. They weren't men of war. But they saw a problem and they fixed it. But I'm going to read the example. Keep going.
Verse 19. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice. Though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him, and fall away every one from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. We will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left. Now when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar, which was at Modin.
So there was, now in the middle of this, Mattathias was pissed off at what was going on. He said, hey, I don't really care what the rest of my brothers doing. Me and my family, we're not gonna roll like that. I'm sorry. Look what he did, verse 24.
Verse 24, which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal.
He was inflamed. He was pissed off. Read.
And his reins trembled.
You ever been so mad you start shaking? I know you sisters know. I know y'all know. Brothers may not have ever been that angry before, but I know the sisters. So it's a thing when you get so mad, you start shaking. That's what he was doing. Shaking. Read.
Neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment.
Read.
Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar.
Hold on. What did he do?
He ran and slew him upon the altar.
So what did he do? He took actions into his own hands to make sure it got done. Understand, I can guarantee you there was a lot of other brothers that said, hey, if I was this position, I would have did something. But they didn't do nothing. They sat there and watched it happen. That's like Captain Kabash say all the time. This is all of our school. You see something on the ground, pick it up, throw it away. You see something needs stopped, stop it. So on and so forth. Whatever the issue is, fix it within your power. I know, understand certain things you can't do. You might say, well, we need a school in the Philippines, so I'm gonna go set up a school. Can't do that, of course. But y'all get what I'm saying, right? Action, action, man, action. Sisters too, sisters too. From there, go to Matthew 3 and 9.
The book of Matthew, chapter 3 and verse 9. And think not to say within yourselves, we have Abraham to our father. For I say unto you, that God is able of these stones to raise up children unto Abraham.
So read that again.
And think not to say within yourselves, we have Abraham to our father. For I say unto you, that God is able of these stones to raise up children unto Abraham.
So understand, the Most High can use whoever he wants to do the work. But he's looking for the brothers and sisters that are sincere, and he'll strengthen those individuals. Or strengthen those individuals. You get what I'm saying? So don't feel like you're sitting around waiting on somebody. That's not what the Most High is looking for. He can use the stones if he wants to. What he's saying to you is get up and do something. If not, I'll throw you away. I'll put you back to sleep. You can go do something else. Because I can use the stones. I chose you all to do the work. But if you can't get it done, then I'll raise up Ishmael, or Moab, or whoever, and get it done. But he's giving us the opportunity first and foremost. All right? From there, you found it yet? Numbers, we're going to go back to Numbers 11. And we're going to read 16 and 17 first.
The book of Numbers, chapter 11, verse 16. And the Lord said unto Moses, gather unto me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom thou knowest to be the elders of the people, and officers over them, and bring them unto the tabernacle of the congregation, that they may stand there with thee. And I will come down and talk with thee there. And I will take of the Spirit which is upon thee, and will put it upon them. And they shall bear...
read that part again.
And I will come down and talk with thee there. And I will take of the Spirit which is upon thee.
He's going to take the Spirit that was on Moses, read.
And will put it upon them.
And put it upon them. What is this showing us? I forgot everybody now. I've been going too long. Light skin. Zedekiah. Drake. That's what it was.
It's pretty much saying that you're replaceable.
There you go. There you go. The Most High took the spirit of Moses and disseminated it amongst the other elders, showing you that guess what? Other people can do the work. Somebody else can do the work. Moses was the head man. He was who the Most High was using, but he can put that spirit on anybody. If you're not sincere, he will take it from you and give it to somebody else. That's why you don't take this thing lightly. Alright? Was that 17? Was that the end of it?
No, there's some more.
Go ahead, read it.
And I will come down and talk with thee there. And I will take of the Spirit which is upon thee, and will put it upon them. And they shall bear the burden of the people with thee, that thou bear it not thyself alone.
So, he wanted to give the understanding and the spirit that was on Moses unto the other individuals, so Moses didn't have to do it on his own. That's what we're doing today. That's why we set up men over you to take questions and build you up in the scriptures. So what? We can have more men to do the same thing, and it just builds and builds and builds. It was a quote. I was reading a book about leadership, and it was about, anybody know who Rockefeller is? Right, Rockefeller. And they asked him, at one point he had 43 millionaires on his payroll. And they asked him, they said, hey, why do you have 43 millionaires working for you? Why do they still work for you? And he said something very wise. He said, well, when I hired them, they weren't millionaires. So what did he do? He built them up. That's our job. That's like if you go to headquarters. Hey, why you got so many deacons under you? Why does Deacon Nathan subject to you, Bishop Nathan? Well, when I found him, he was an Egyptologist. That's got to be the mindset. We're trying to build brothers up. Y'all get what I'm saying? That's the mission. You want to build up the men under you. You want to build the sisters up under you. So on and so forth. Alright? But Esau, in that same book, he said, you have to search for the gold in the men. They use biblical principles. He said, I was searching for the gold in each and every one of these men. That's what we already know what the Bible says. That we pure gold. But we got to mine it out. We got to mine it out. Alright, now jump to 24. Jump to 24.
Verse 24. And Moses went out and told the people the words of the Lord, and gathered the 70 men of the elders of the people, and set them round about the tabernacle. And the Lord came down in a cloud, and spake unto him, and took of the Spirit that was upon him, and gave it unto the 70 elders.
Read.
And it came to pass that, when the Spirit rested upon them, they prophesied.
Read.
And did not cease. But there remained 2 of the men in the camp, the name of the one Eldad, and the name of the other Medad. And the Spirit rested upon them. And there were of them that were written, but went not unto the tabernacle. And they prophesied in the camp. And there ran a young man, and told Moses and said, Eldad and Medad do prophesy in the camp.
Now, that's very important. It said, there ran a what?
And there ran a young man and told...
Now, there ran a young man. Who did he put the Spirit upon? The elders. Bishop went over this before. He's not going to give, he never gives the understanding to the youngest man in the room. 9 times out of 10. He dealt with Daniel like that. And who else he dealt with that? Daniel, that's the one example. But for the most part, The information goes from the top down. Why? Why does he do that? Israelites.
To keep the order.
To keep the order, right? For order's sake. But what else? Zedekiah.
Mike.
He does that so that the younger men doesn't get prideful.
There you go. What, hold on, give it back to him. What can we read that at?
In Proverbs, about pride going before destruction.
Right, but what do we read what you said?
Knowledge puffeth up.
That's one. It's another. It's in the manuscript for leadership. In that chapter. It's a chapter we always go to when we deal with the men and how they become leaders.
By pretty much wearing down the footsteps of the old elder men.
Nope. Let me hear brother. Let me hear soldier.
In 1 Timothy 5, where it says, "Rebuke not an elder."
No, but let me restate my question. I'm gonna stand back up. You in the right book. You in the right book. My question was, Zedekiah said, so the young men don't get puffed up. And I said, well, where's that at in the scriptures? Because notice he gave the understanding to the 70 elders. You got it or you know? You got it. You got it. All right, let me hear Carmel.
First Timothy 3.
Verse.
Verses, not a novice.
Read it. Read it for me. Yes.
1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 6. Not a novice.
Not what?
Not a novice.
Read.
Lest being lifted up with pride, he fall into the condemnation of the devil.
Right. Lest being lifted up, he fall into the condemnation of the devil. Alright? So that's why he don't give the understanding to the man that just walked in the room. Because guess what he'll think this understanding came from? You think he did it? Like, yeah, the wisest man in here. But when you learn, you understand this is just the spirit from the forefathers. The Most High put the spirit on me for this time. And if I'm not diligent with it, he'll take it from me. But it's nothing that we do. Nothing that we do. The Most High puts the spirit on who he wants to. Alright? Finish that in Numbers.
Numbers chapter 11, verse 25. And the Lord came down in a cloud and spake unto him, and took up the spirit that was upon him, and gave it unto the 70 elders. And it came to pass that, when the spirit rested upon them,
jump down 27.
Verse 27. And there ran a young man and told Moses and said, Eldad and Medad do prophecy in the camp. And Joshua the son of Nun, the servant of Moses, one of his young men, answered and said, My Lord Moses, forbid them. And Moses said unto him, Enviest thou for my sake?
He said, do you envy for my sake? Meaning, you don't want anybody to take fame or take some notice from me? Read.
Would God that all the Lord's people were prophets, and that the Lord would put his spirit upon them. And Moses got him into the camp, he and the elders of Israel.
So, the Most High wished that all of us could prophesy. That's his mission. Because remember, only because of sin is it set up the way it is. All of us were set up to rule. All of us were set up to be a kingdom of what? Priests. But because we fell away from that model, now he has to set up leaders to give us an example, to give us something to look forward to. Y'all understand what I'm saying? But the setup was all of us to be priests. All of us, each and every one of us are leaders. Each and every one of us was set up to be leaders. Alright? So, getting into be the leader you want to follow. Being the leader you want to follow. A lot of times, in our ignorance, brothers want a position or a title for the wrong reasons. For the wrong reason. Is it because you want to lord over brothers? Is it because you want to tell somebody what to do, what not to do? Or is it because you sincerely serve the nation of Israel? So we're going to examine some of that. Let's go to the book of Job, chapter 32 and verse 21. Job chapter 32 and verse 21.
The book of Job, chapter 32, verse 21. Let me not, I pray you, accept any man's person. Neither let me give flattering titles unto man.
Neither what?
Neither let me give flattering titles unto man.
So, being the leader you want to follow, make sure you don't just desire a position because of the title, or because of a shirt, or because of a pin. Make sure that's not what you're after. I say this, every time I received a promotion, I never knew it was going to happen. And it didn't really matter. It didn't really matter. It's just like, all right, cool, all praises. Because the mindset is just doing the work. That's got to be the mindset. And whatever comes with it, it is what it is. But promotion comes from who? The promotion comes from God. Promotion comes from God. Understanding that, guess what? Should you be worried about it? No. If you're worried about your position, or if you're worried about your rank, who are you really questioning? The Most High. So when you ask your brother, hey man, what's up with that soldier test, bro? Hey David, man, what's up, man? What's up with that deacon test? I can't get the deacon test? Come on, bro. I know way more precepts than Deacon Icon, bro.
You ain't ready.
What? I'm trying to get me a garment, man. I want one of them leadership garments. So, understand. Promotion cometh of God. You're not worrying about a title. You're not worried about a title. Be worried about doing the work. Bishop say this all the time. Your work's gonna speak for itself. If you're supposed to be in a certain, it'll speak for yourself. The men up here will say, hey, what do you say about this brother, that brother? Well, he do the work. He's good. He's good. If you gotta ask us, something's wrong. I'm just telling you that. If you gotta ask, something's wrong. You spiritually ain't ready. Go ahead, you want that?
No, you know why it's so important? Because man is flawed, right? Who keeping the ultimate record? The Most High ain't gonna miss nothing. We read that scripture talking about promotion come from the Most High, right? You know what that's talking about ultimately? The Most High making a promotion to make you a king or a priest. Yeah, when you get the little rank here, that's coming from the Most High. We'll say Bishop Nathaniel might, he's so busy he forget to promote somebody. The Most High ain't gonna forget your promotion. That's who you're supposed to be doing it for.
That's happened several times too.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna happen. Brothers should have a position, and they don't, just because leadership at that time hadn't found the time to evaluate the brother. Meanwhile, the brother putting many works. Who keeping a real record book? Most High's keeping that record book. That's all we really need to be worried about.
All praises. So finish that Job 32, 21 and 22. Read 21 again.
Job chapter 32, verse 21. Let me not, I pray you, accept any man's person. Neither let me give flattering titles unto man. For I know not to give flattering titles. In so doing, my maker would soon take me away.
1 Peter 5 and 3. So, are you a person that won't position because of a title? No. Examine yourself. Find out. Find out for yourself. 1 Peter 5 and 3. Let's see another reason why people won't rank.
The book of 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 3. Neither as being lords over God's heritage, but being examples to the flock.
So, some people want to lead over men just because I want to tell you what to do. That's what some people do. They have a control freak spirit. I want to tell you what to do. You got to examine that. Go to 2 Corinthians 1 and 23.
2 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 23. Moreover, I call God for a record upon my soul, that to spare you I came not as yet unto Corinth.
Read.
Not for that we have domination over your faith.
Read that part again. Not that what?
Not for that we have domination. Domination over your faith.
Not that we have domination over your faith. That's what some brothers want. They want to teach you everything. You can't go to nobody else to ask a question. You can't do anything. They want to dominate your life. If that's you, if that's the spirit you have, that's wrong. That's wrong. Finish that scripture.
Moreover, I call God for a record upon my soul, that to spare you I came not as yet unto Corinth. Not for that we have domination over your faith, but are helpers of your joy. For by faith ye stand.
but helpers of your joy. That should be the mindset. You should want to be in a certain position so you can help more brothers and sisters. I give you an example. Now, when you become a captain, you have to go travel to different cities. I love that. It's like, okay, good. I get to go reach more people and learn more things and teach more brothers and sisters. But some people don't want to do that. The ultimate goal of being a leader is to serve the people. It's not about you at all. If you think being a leader is about yourself, you're absolutely wrong. It has nothing to do with you. Y'all understand that? Sure. In any walk of life, being a manager on a job, it's not about you. It's about the people. You all understand that. Matthew 20 and verse 25. Matthew 20 and verse 25.
The book of Matthew, chapter 20, verse 25. But Jesus called them unto him and said, Ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them.
Now, read that again. You know that the what?
Ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them.
The Gentiles exercise dominion over their people. They tell them when to wake up, how to turn, how to walk, how to talk, how to eat. They exercise dominion for no reason. They tell you to do dumb stuff. It's like when you're in the military. If anybody ever been in the military, they just tell you to do stuff, right? Israel laughing. You know what I'm talking about, right? What is that? Yeah. They just give you random stuff to do. And there's a purpose behind it, but that's what they're going into. There's no purpose. They just do it. Do it because I told you to, because I'm over you. That's not how we should be. Read.
And they that are great exercise authority upon them.
Right. And they that are great, they exercise authority over them. Read.
But it shall not be so among you.
But what?
But it shall not be so among you.
That spirit shouldn't be amongst the nation of Israel, of lording over people for no reason. Read.
But whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister.
Let him what?
Be your minister.
What's a minister? Huh? A servant. A minister is a servant. So the greatest person over should be a servant to the people. Read.
And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant.
Same thing again. Read.
Even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister and to give his life a ransom for many.
That's the example that Christ left for us. So understand, when you want to be in that position, all you're asking for is to be a servant. That's what you don't understand. When you're asking for that, hey, I want to be a servant. I want to do more stuff for the people. When you're saying, let me get that soldier's test, you're saying, hey, let me sweep the floor. Hey, I'm trying to clean the bathroom. Because if you asking the question, you ain't looking at it like that. You're not. You just looking, I want to be called this, or called that. Right. You have something on that, Officer Brute? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Let's go to Sirach 2 real quick. I want to add to that point because with what did they say in Spider-Man? With great power comes great responsibility, right? And what I've been learning, even to this day, right, that the more responsibility you get, the higher, I guess, you get in rank, the more you start to know, the more is required of you. And if we don't put ourselves in a position to humble ourselves, like the scriptures say, he put us in a position. The Most High put us in a position. Now, either we humble ourselves voluntarily, or we humble ourselves by force, right? Or we be humbled by the Most High. Read this, Sirach 2 and verse 1.
Sirach chapter 2 verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation.
Now the one thing that I've seen, that when you serve the Lord and you go from a soldier to an officer of 10 to a 20, 50, whatever the case may be, when you serve the Lord in different capacities, you have to prepare your soul for temptations within that capacity. So like they say in the world, different new levels, new devils, right? And so what I've had to learn is I can't operate the same way as I operated as an officer of 10. And that's one thing that we have to understand too. The longer that we are in this truth, whether you're a sister or a brother, guess what? The temptations and the trials are going to get harder. Right? Go to Sirach 3, 13 and 8. Last one I got. 3 and 18, I'm sorry. Sirach 3 and 18.
Sirach chapter 3 verse 18. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself.
Right. The greater that we become, the more understanding and knowledge that we have in this truth, the more we have to humble ourselves. Alright? Keep reading.
And thou shalt find favor before the Lord.
And then we find favor before the Lord. It's a tough thing. Right? Because we miss so many things sometimes, and we overlook ourselves, right? We overlook examination of ourselves, but the Lord will find a way to humble you so that you can continue to do the work. All right, so don't run from that thing. All praise.
All praise. All praise. All right, so now we're getting into the meat of the class. What traits do you want to follow? Because being the leader that you want to follow, let's see what traits should you want to follow and understand what that leader is doing. Let's go to Romans 12 and 1. Romans chapter 12 and verse 1.
The book of Romans chapter 12 verse 1. I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice.
That ye present your bodies a living sacrifice. Understand, when you become a leader, you are literally putting your life on the line for something other than yourself. I'm going to use the bishop as an example. We already know Christ did it, but because you can see the bishop, touch the bishop, you know he live in the same world that you live in, that's the example we'll use. When you see some of the, for example, when you go on, they went to Suriname and Guyana for 2 weeks. Things where you don't take into account, he has children, he has a wife, things going on that he got to deal with, but you still put the truth first. He has to put his whole life on hold. When you're out of the country, everything changes. If your wife calls and say somebody's sick, you just can't hop up and leave. They gotta figure it out. Financial situations, time away from the kids, time away from your wife. There's strain on these different things, but you're doing it not for yourself, but for the nation. So you can't ask a brother that just walked in here today to do those types of things. He'll lose his mind. Like, nah, my wife, I gotta go. He might be on his wife, or he might be his kids. All this stuff. That's why it says, let nothing keep the preeminence over everything. But you can't get to that level until you're at certain levels in this truth. That's why there's order. Alright? But you present your body a living sacrifice to the truth. And even when he's back in the States, radio shows, TV shows, traveling, Sabbath class, teaching the brothers, your time now, because he's the chief, his time is always in the truth. Always. Want to watch a movie? Want to go take a day? All this different stuff. Yeah, that's fine. But the higher up you go, the more inclined you are to do the work, because that's your job. Go to Daniel 11 and 33. This is one of my favorite scriptures. One of my favorite scriptures. Love this scripture.
The book of Daniel, chapter 11, verse 33. And they that understand among the people.
And they that understand amongst the people. Not those that think they know, but those that truly understand the scriptures. Read.
Shall instruct many.
Shall what?
Instruct many.
Your job is to instruct many individuals. Not a few. Not a little. Many. It gives you plain instructions. So if you watch it online and you know the scriptures, guess what? Your job is to go teach people. It ain't to sit on the knowledge and be the grand poopah behind the YouTube screen that's finna get shut down soon. I hope it do. I hope it do. Because guess what's gonna happen? You got to go somewhere to get your understanding. The Most High gonna make people come to the Sabbath.
Right.
They're gonna still be in that 2019 breakdown in 2022. Who knows what we'll know by then? Hey, still doing that. But your job is to instruct many. That's why the bishop's always teaching. Always teaching, because he's one of the people that understand amongst the people. So what does he have to do? He has to instruct many. He has to go to new countries. He has to go to new radio stations. He has to go to new TV outlets. Has to do that. Because that's what's required when you know the Bible. You have to feed the sheep. That's why he said, "Son, thou lovest me, feed my sheep." That's your job. So, in following the leader, be the leader you want to follow. The first thing you got to do is you got to have a spirit of sacrifice. You have to have a spirit of sacrifice. We're going to go into some of the things that you sacrifice. The first one we're going to go into is time. Time. That's something that you have to be willing to sacrifice. A lot of people are stingy with their time. They don't want to give you the time of day. They can't ever respond back. Can't answer your calls. Yeah. Don't want to answer a poll question.
No time.
You can't give no time to the people, but yet you want to be over the people. That's backwards. That's backwards. So we're going to go into time. We're going to go into time. Go to Sirach 38:24. You want to be a leader, you want to be nitpicky, but you don't put no time into the body. I give you an example. My wife all the time, she get mad at me because I'm always on my phone. I'm not addicted to my phone. My phone is the source of my work, for the truth. Because I deal with social media, I deal with all that stuff. I deal with brothers and sisters. So a lot of time I have to be on my phone. And that takes up what? A lot of my time. Takes up a lot of my time. But I do it willingly. I love it. I'm like, hey, all praises. This thing keep me going. Keeps me going. Because I know I'm doing something that's bigger than myself. But if you don't understand the mission, you don't get that. You think it's a nuisance. You looking at it like, hey, man, I'm turning my phone off. Go ahead, man.
I just want to say something about that, how important that is. Like, if you can find an answer to your question, or if you can find an answer or a solution to the problem, seek to do that first before you start reaching out to other people to try to, let them do the work for you. Because like Captain said, and I remember when Captain Rami used to, when he was here, and he would be like, man, look at my phone, look at all the groups I'm in, and then just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. He's like, and I gotta answer all these people every day. And once I started getting added and being over more and more groups, and then, that understanding is there that, like Cap said, still got wife, still got children, still got a job. I got the kind of job that if I don't keep increasing my knowledge, I'll lose my job. But I can't put that before the truth. So you got to learn how to, that's what the truth will make you do, learn how to manage your time better.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sirach 38:24, read that.
The book of Sirach, chapter 38, verse 24. The wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure.
So read that again.
The wisdom.
The wisdom. The wisdom. Being the leader that you want to follow is that understanding your time is not occupied to yourself anymore if you want to be a leader. Your time is occupied in wisdom. Read.
The wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure.
Cometh by opportunity of leisure, meaning your free time. This is the time that's not occupied to the white man. This is outside of Camp 101. This is outside of Men of Valor. This is the time that you get to choose what you want to do. Is your desire going to be to wisdom or Call of Duty? Or what sisters watch? What TV show do you watch? I don't know. I don't watch TV. Y'all sisters know what y'all watch. Anyway. Husbands and housewives? Nah, they ain't. Hip-hop, housewives, whatever. But where are you going to put your time? Are you going to learn how to sew? Are you going to learn how to cook? Are you going to learn how to create a garment? Or are you going to spend your time doing nothing all day? Complaining about how you don't have time? Okay. From there. So, sacrifice. Time. Your time has to be taken. Matthew 24:14. One way it's taken is in studying. You have to sacrifice time to study. That's one way. Show you another way your time is going to get took. Read that.
The book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 14. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. and then shall the end come.
Your time is going to be taken in travel, spreading the gospel. It's going to be taken. You want to be a leader? You're going to have to go instruct many. You got to go to expos. You got to go out of town and see other stuff so you learn. Your time is going to be taken in a vehicle for hours. Did you go with us when we went to Ohio? Yeah. Hours in the car, hours in a plane. When the bishop don't go to Africa, them flights take days. Days. And they're supposed to be going to Australia soon. That's a 44-hour flight. Woo. So are you willing? You really want to be a leader? Okay, we're gonna see. And guess what? Ain't no shower on the plane. You just sweaty for hours. That's like Bishop when they was in Suriname. He's like, man, I just got off a 3-hour boat ride with no AC. Your time is gonna get took. So if you creature comfort, brother, maybe this ain't the fight for you. All right, you can be support team in the back. From there, did we read it yet? Did we read the scripture? No, we read it. Romans 10 and 14. Being the leader you want to follow. Your time has to be sacrificed. Your time has to be sacrificed to study, to spread the truth, to teach other individuals. I ain't even gonna go into how much time I spent on counseling. Counsel. You're gonna tell people stuff that they already know. Yep. They already know the scriptures too. You just got to put it in a spin and hopefully they'll do it this time. Counsel. A lot of time spent in counsel. Read that.
The book of Romans chapter 10 verse 14. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher?
How shall they hear without a preacher? So you have to spend time teaching people that have no clue what the scriptures is talking about. You're going to have to learn how to relate to them. You're going to learn how to have to use worldly examples to teach them and to persuade them into the Bible. That's going to take time. How do you get those skills? Going to camp. Going to camp one-on-one. Watching videos and learning. That's taking what? Time. You got to invest something in this. The Most High is going to take something from you if you want it. Sacrifice. Was that 15? Did you read 15 yet?
No.
Read that.
Verse 15. And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things.
Right. But it's a beautiful thing to do it. It's a beautiful thing to do it. Time. 31 straight days of camp. Brothers be out there sometimes. 31 straight nights. A lot of times it's nighttime because brothers got to work. What type of time are you willing to put in? 44-hour flights, 31 straight days, hours driving, going to different cities every weekend, not seeing your wife, your children. Are you okay? Yeah. Be the leader you want to follow. Everybody with Bishop? Yeah. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to sacrifice? 1 Corinthians 7:29. 1 Corinthians 7:29. Being the leader you want to follow.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 29. But this I say, brethren, the time is short.
The time is short. That's got to be the mindset. The time is short. Read.
It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none.
They that have wives be as though they had none. Not saying you don't take care of your wife. Not saying you don't spend time with your wife. But understand there's going to come a time when you have to do the work. You have to do the work. And it may put a strain on your relationship if your wife don't understand what she's in. Because the work must get done. Because everybody's not going to be willing to sacrifice. But if you're being the leader you want to follow, you'll do that. You'll do that. Because you have the mindset, if I don't do it, nobody else will. That's what Mattathias did in his example. He didn't say, well, I'll wait on the other priest to do it. Nah, he saw it. He was like, nah, I'm going to stand. And anybody else that don't stand for this, follow me. Nobody had to appoint him and make him chief priest of 2,000. He said, I'm an Israelite. I know the commandments. Hey, this what I'm doing. Y'all can follow me or not. Did somebody tell Bishop Nathaniel to start I.U.I.C? No. Did somebody tell Christ, hey, choose 12 disciples and start teaching them? No. He did it on his own because the Spirit of God was on him. We get it. We got it easy. We look at the examples. All we got to do is follow. That's all we got to do, and we can't do it a lot of times. Okay? Now we're going to deal with the woman. Let's go to Proverbs 31. Start at verse 13. Because the women are leaders as well. They got to be willing to sacrifice something. They're going to give up their time as well, but in a different manner. Proverbs 31, start at 13.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 31, verse 13. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands.
She does what?
Worketh willingly with her hands.
She works willingly with her hands. Willingly. Read.
She is like the merchant ships. She bringeth her food from afar.
She bringeth food from afar. Read.
She rises also while it is yet night.
I always bring the scripture out. Always. I love the scripture. She rises while it's yet night. Does that mean she don't go to sleep? No. That means she what they call it, insomniac? When you can't sleep. Insomnia?
Night owl.
Right. No, a night owl? No, that's not what that means. That means she wake up early. Some of y'all didn't catch it. That means she up early. Before the lights come on. She's up. Because she's sacrificing her time to make sure she's the helpmeet she's supposed to be. Read it again.
She rises also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household.
And there's food prepared because she was up before the husband. Read.
And a portion to her maidens. She considereth the field and buyeth it.
She got to spend time gardening. She's learning different skills. Read.
With the fruit of her hands she planteth the vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good.
Read.
Her candle goeth not out by night.
Read.
She layeth her hands to the spindle.
She does what?
She layeth her hands to the spindle.
So she's spending time sewing. She's spending time sewing. She's sacrificing something. Read.
And her hands hold a distaff. She strengtheneth out her hand she stretcheth out her hand to the poor.
Read.
Yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household. For all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates.
Stop there. Well, jump down 24, just 24.
Verse 24. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant.
So she's putting in work. Cooking, sewing, cleaning, gardening. All of those take up time to get done. But that's what a leader does. Because guess what? If you don't know how to do those things, can you teach anybody else? No. So you got to spend time on that. You have to spend time yourself in doing that to be the leader that you want to be. From there, go to Proverbs 15 and 28.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 15 and verse 28.
Let's go for both sides of the room, male or female. Read.
The heart of the righteous studieth to answer.
The what?
The heart of the righteous studieth to answer.
So then, being the leader that you want to follow, you have to study to be able to answer questions. That's going to take time. So maybe you ain't going to be able to catch the finals game. Because you got to study. Sacrificing of time. 2 Maccabees 7 and 27. Dealing with the woman. Back dealing with the woman. The first trait was sacrifice. And of time. You're going to have to use time. And sisters more so. As much time as men use, the sisters probably use more time. Because they got to deal with the children. So the time go real slow when you're dealing with children. Real slow. I watch my kids, I'll be like, damn, it's only been 5 minutes. What the hell is this? Babe. 5 minutes take 3 hours when you watching kids. Read that.
2 Maccabees chapter 7 verse 27. But she bound herself toward him, laughing the cruel tyrant to scorn, spake in her country language on this manner.
Read.
O my son, have pity on me that bare thee 9 months in my womb, and gave thee suck 3 years, and nourished thee.
So she had a son with children. A woman, your time is spent in pregnancy. Then you have to spend time to nourish the child. Says 3 years she nourished the child, breastfed. Read.
And nourished thee, and brought thee up unto this age.
And brought him up into the age that he was at. Read.
And endured the troubles of education.
And did what?
And endured the troubles of education.
Another sacrifice that women have to make is they have to teach the children. And it's letting you know that it's not simple. What did it say? She endured what?
And endured the troubles of education.
And she endured the troubles of education. Not saying that the man of the house can't help, but that's the woman's main responsibility. That's her main responsibility. Why? Because the man sometimes is gone for months at a time. We got to go camp. We got 31 days of camp, so I can't check on the homework. I can't do the algebra questions because I'm out doing the work of the Lord. But your work of the Lord is just as important, but it's in a different avenue. But you got to make sure you transform your mind to understand that. But she endured the troubles of education. So, next sacrifice you got to be willing to make as a leader is money. As a leader, if these two go hand in hand. What do they say time is? What is time?
Money.
Time is money. So if you sacrificing time, what are you also sacrificing?
Money.
There you go. Officer David, an entrepreneur. He an entrepreneur. I made him lose a lot of money. I'm like, hey, I need this video done today. So sometimes he couldn't go to work. And then we had to help him on his bills, but it is what it is. Now I'm just playing. But your time is your money. You got to decide where do you want to put it at. You want to put your time towards Esau's kingdom? Or do you want to put your time and money towards the truth? That's what you got to be willing to sacrifice. Sirach 38:24, we're going to read all the way down.
The book of Sirach, chapter 38, verse 24. The wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure, and he that hath little business shall become wise.
He that hath little business shall become wise. Read.
How can he get wisdom that holdeth the plow?
Hey, hold on. Bishop ain't on yet? 6 o'clock. You said no?
No, they're not.
Keep going.
Verse 20, Sirach chapter 38, verse 25. How can he get wisdom that holdeth the plow, and that glorieth in the goad, that driveth oxen and is occupied in their labors, and whose talk is of bullocks?
So, how you gonna get wisdom if all you worrying about is work? Every time we talk to you, you call to check in, all you talk about is your job. How you gonna get wisdom like that? Keep reading, read fast.
He giveth his mind to make furrows, and is diligent to give the kind fodder. So every carpenter and workmaster that laboreth night and day, that they cut and grave seals, and are diligent to make great variety, and give themselves to counterfeit imagery, and watch to finish a work. The smith also sitting by the anvil, and considering the ironwork, the vapor of the fire wasteth his flesh, and he fighteth with the heat of the furnace. The noise of the hammer and the anvil is ever in his ears, and his eyes look still upon the pattern of the thing that he maketh. He setteth his mind to finish his work, and watcheth to polish it perfectly. So that the potter sitting at his work, and turning the wheel about with his feet, who is always carefully set at his work, and maketh all his work by number. He fashioneth the clay with his arm, and bowed down his strength before his feet. He applieth himself to lead it over, and he is diligent to make clean the furnace. All these trust to their hands, and every one is wise in his work.
All these individuals are wise in their work. Because what? Where do they spend their time at? At work. They spend their money at work. They got the best equipment. They got everything on point on the job. But they lacking somewhere else. Read.
All these trust their hands, and every one is wise in his word. Without these cannot a city be inhabited.
And without these cannot a city be inhabited. Now understand, you're not in sin if this is you. You're not in sin. But understand, you're not going to be the leader that you may think you should be or want to be. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Everybody has an office. What was the brother's name that came and got Christ's body?
Joseph.
Yeah, Joseph of Arimathea. Right. His office, he had the financial backing to get whatever Israel did. We don't know what else he did financially. He bought his tomb. There's other stuff he may have done or did. But we all have different roles. But understand, somebody had to play Christ's role as well. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Understand where you want to be on the spectrum. Understand where you want to be on the spectrum and act accordingly. Y'all get what I'm saying? Make sure your words match up with, make sure your actions match up with your words. All right, keep going.
Without these cannot a city be inhabited, and they shall not dwell where they will, nor go up and down. They shall not be sought for in public council, nor sit high in the congregation.
Right, nor sit high in the congregation. They're not going to be some high person because they don't have the wisdom, the knowledge. They haven't sought it out. Read.
They shall not sit on the judge's seat, nor understand the sentence of judgment. They cannot declare justice and judgment, and they shall not be found where parables are spoken. But they will maintain the state of the world, and all their desire is in the work of their craft.
Right, so you got to make a decision. Am I going to desire to be the greatest smith worker in the world, or do I want to be a great prophet? And you can do both in certain jobs and certain occupations, but some of them you can't. Some of them you can't. It is the way it is. But you have to make that decision, and you're gonna have to sacrifice one or the other. Because if you don't, you're gonna find yourself out of the way. Go ahead.
Let's get 1 Corinthians 1:26. Start at 25.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 25. Because the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. For ye see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise men after the flesh.
Not many wise men what?
After the flesh. Not many mighty, not many noble are called. But God hath chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise.
Just like what Captain just brought out. Those that are occupied in their work, those aren't going to be the ones that are going to be given the counsel and the wise understanding in the scriptures. So you're not going to find like a CEO as a deacon also. Because he spending all his time and his efforts trying to run his business. So how is he going to have the opportunity or the leisure time to seek out the wise sentences for judgment? Let me get one more. Luke 12:33 and 34. So when he says that not many wise are called, but he's chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, that's why they can't understand how can we stand toe-to-toe with pastors that got letters behind their names, that never lost a debate for years. Read with you.
The book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 33. Sell that ye have, and give alms. Provide yourselves bags which wax not old, a treasure in the heavens that faileth not.
Treasure what?
A treasure in the heavens that faileth not. Where no thief approacheth, neither does moth corrupt. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
So Christ is the dividing line. Where is your treasure? Is your treasure in the things of the world? Are you still in love with the world? Or are you trying to build up the kingdom? Because like Captain brought out a long time ago, earlier in the class, the kingdom cometh not by observation.
All praises. All praises.
Can I add to that, Cap? Let's go to Sirach 51 and 16. Just real quick. It's a quick precept. Because the main question, like, when I was on a soldier call, or the calls with some of the soldiers, they were like, hey, officer, you do this, you do that. How do you balance things? I said the root word to balance is sacrifice. It didn't make sense, but it made sense, right? You like the captain is going into, it's all about sacrifice. But how do you get it over time? Read.
Sirach chapter 51 verse 16. I bowed down my ear a little.
How much?
I bowed down mine ear a little. And received her and got much learning.
Right, and so that's how we do it. That's the beginning process. Give a little, receive, right? You help a little, you do what you can while you can, and then the Most High will continue to put that spirit of understanding, will continue to do things for you, but you have to be faithful with the little, that way you can be blessed with much. That's what the scripture's going into. Whatever time you have, if you combing your hair for 30 minutes, take 15 minutes and put it towards the scripture, right? Whatever the case may be, all right? That's all I have to say.
Hey, so you was talking about sacrifice right there, right? You was talking about you, Officer David. So who was that sacrifice? I named them two brothers for a reason. Captain O.C., Officer Kimuel. These are all married brothers. So the wife has to sacrifice time too. Knowing that her husband is doing the work of the Most High, may not always get that quality time that she may want. And the Most High going to check her spirit to see how she's dealing with that. If the husband out there, especially for people that maybe got married before they came to the truth, you know the husband might have been out hanging with his boys doing this and that, and now you see him doing the work of the Most High. As long as he balanced that, she really can't have no issue with that. But the key thing is, like I said, it's up to the man to know how to, that's another thing too when you get married, you gotta know how to balance that time. That's why what Captain Mattathias came up with the quest, that was fantastic. The brothers know, because they can go out on the cruise with their wife and still do the work of the Most High. So everybody's happy.
All praises. Alright, Acts 3:1. Acts chapter 3 and verse 1. Going into money. So now we're going into sacrificing of money. Because knowing, understanding, if you're spending all your time in your occupation, you can get riches, like we went over. You can get riches. But if you're spending your time on the Lord, not saying you're going to be broke, but you're going to have less funds than you would if you were occupied in the world all the time. All right, read that.
The book of Acts, chapter 3, verse 1. Now Peter and John went up together into the temple at the hour of prayer, being the 9th hour. And a certain man lame from his mother's womb was carried, whom they laid daily at the gate of the temple, which is called Beautiful, to ask alms of them that entered into the temple, who seeing Peter and John about to go into the temple, asked an alms. And Peter...
Hold on, so Peter and John was going into the temple, and somebody that's always asked for alms, they ask, hey, they see them walking in, hey, let me get a few dollars. Go ahead.
And Peter, fastening his eyes upon him with John, said, look on us. And he gave heed unto them, expecting to receive something of them. Then Peter said, silver and gold have I none.
Read it again.
Silver and gold have I none.
Now, say, hey, I ain't got no money right now, bro. I'm broke. But I got something for you. I got a lot of riches. I got the understanding of the scriptures, and I've been walking with Christ, and I got the power of God within me. Because they had to make a sacrifice. Because remember, they were fishermen. Some of the disciples. This ain't them two specifically. But they could have got their riches doing fishing, or they could have followed Christ. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Sure. It's like brothers and sisters walk away from certain lifestyles. Alright? Officer David could have been all pro. But he chose to turn away. Right? You're just going to sign with LeBron, right?
LeBron and them. And Jay-Z.
Right. Yeah. So he said, nah, they had $100 million, it was a $100 million contract, right?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. He turned it down. Said, you know what? I can't do it. I'm gonna push this truth. Right? Officer Kim, you, I think you had a modeling career, right? Nope, he turned it down.
You weren't supposed to tell nobody about that.
You know, Officer Baruch, he ran away from LA because the acting was taking off. He said, I can't do this. So he moved to Tampa. Alright? But he said, I can't do it. He said, silver and gold have I none. Read.
But such as I have, give I thee. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, rise up and walk.
Read.
And he took him by the right hand and lifted him up. And immediately his feet and ankle bones received strength. And he leaping up stood and walked, and entered with them into the temple, walking and leaping and praising God.
Showing you, it's not always going to be a monetary gain being in this truth, being in a position of leadership. You're going to sacrifice funds. Whether it's traveling, whether it's helping the body, doing different things. You're not going to maintain the estate of this world. Your mindset is completely different than everybody else. They worry about getting rims, cars, furniture, so on and so forth. I'm not saying you can't have that stuff, but your focus is on the truth first. Your focus first and foremost is on the truth. I tell you this all the time. When we got our first school in Tallahassee, what, it was 5 of us and 5 men? It was 5 men and a few sisters. So we had to carry the load of the congregation. It is what it is. But that's why our mind and focus was on the truth. Bishop, when he used to travel, all his traveling he used to do, he had to pay for it on his own dime. On his own dime, plane tickets, hotels, because the body wasn't where it was at now. He had to do it on his own. And he'd do it on his own if he had it. He did it. It is what it is. Because great leaders, they feel like if I don't do it, nobody else will. That's got to be our mindset. That was Christ's mindset. Christ, if he couldn't do it, nobody else was going to do it. So he got it done. He laid his life down. He knew what he had to do. Alright? So we went over time. We went over money. Now we're going to go into friendships. One thing that you're going to sacrifice being in this truth is friendships. Not necessarily that they end, but exactly what Officer Baruch was going into. They depreciate. How you say that word?
Depreciate.
Depreciate. No, not depreciate. Differentiate. 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 Yeah. It's an 11th grade word. You know, I teach, so I try to expand my vocabulary. Alright? So, differentiate. So, what do I mean by that? Exactly what Officer Baruch was going into. You have to learn how to deal with certain brothers and sisters on different levels. Because now, as a leader, people look at you different. Yeah, as a soldier, yeah, you can kick it. You might drink a little, you know, joke, and it's fine. Now you're an officer. Now they look, now magically overnight, you're supposed to change. Hey, bro. You laughing with him. Hey, something wrong with this brother. I'm gonna write a complaint. Yeah, we got officers down here laughing, and giggling. But the last week, we was cool. It's cool. You know, so you got to learn how to deal with everybody in their different levels as a leader. Alright? Not saying that you don't talk to people, not saying you don't speak to people, not saying that. You have to know how to operate. Alright? 1 Timothy 3 and verse 8.
The book of 1 Timothy, chapter 3, verse 8. Likewise, must the deacons be grave.
Oh, hold on, read that again. Likewise what?
Must the deacons be grave.
Likewise, must the deacons be grave. Meaning you have to have a serious demeanor being in leadership. Not saying that you don't ever smile, you don't ever joke, you don't ever have a good time. When it comes to the work, you get the work done. When it's a matter, you make sure it gets taken care of. It's not put to the back and never addressed. You don't leave somebody on hold for 8 weeks. Alright, read.
Likewise must the deacons be grave, not double-tongued.
Not what?
Not double-tongued.
Not double-tongued, read.
Not given to much wine.
Not given to much wine. So if you used to be a brother that drink all the time with the brothers, can't do that no more. You got to learn how to operate. Like I said, it's different levels. Read.
Not greedy or filthy lucre.
Not greedy or filthy lucre. Goes back to what we said. Because if you get to that position, you already understand that. You made that sacrifice already. Because you know you can't have both. It's not going to happen. Alright? So you have to be grave. You have to be serious. Jump down to verse 11.
Verse 11. Even so must their wives be grave.
Even so must their wives be grave. So now you sisters in these positions, you have to make sure you operate in the same way. Things are getting done. You're taking care of the sisters. You hearing the matters. You solving the matters. You making sure you reporting things back to your Lord or whoever's over the office that you're in. Okay, you had something
So the scripture is saying that a leadership wife should have a serious demeanor.
Right.
That what the scripture said?
That's what the scripture said. All right. And not even the leadership wives, but you elder sisters. You elder sisters as well. You have to have a demeanor to get stuff done. Because as Bishop brought out yesterday, if God forbid something was to happen to my wife, right? And I married a sister and she just walked through the door 2 weeks ago. Is she now the captain's wife? No, she's a sister that's married to a captain.
Right.
She don't know nothing. She's learning. Y'all sisters understand that, right? Alright? Make sure we good on that. Luke 6:26. Friendships. You got to be willing to sacrifice friendships. Why? Why? Because in a leadership position, guess what you get the opportunity to do? Now you have to confront issues. You have to deem somebody's right and somebody's wrong. And guess what happens when you deem somebody wrong? What happens, brothers? Let me hear some answers. Let me hear Zedekiah.
They might get upset thinking that you stun on them.
Huh?
They might think that they might get upset with their judgment.
There you go.
Think that you're against them.
There you go. So let's say I say, hey, brother Zedekiah, you light skinned, bro. And you say, what? I'm light skinned? Alright, I got something for you. It's like, bruh, that's the matter. You light skinned, bruh. But, hey, you say, hey, did you commit adultery? Yeah, I committed adultery. Alright, you gotta leave the body. Huh? I'm out? Man, you the devil. You gotta be ready for that. Is it coming from me? Who's it coming from? The Most High. But do people look at it like that? No, it's a personal matter. Nah, Officer Michael got something on me. He think he better than me. Because they don't look at it spiritually. But understand, being a leader, that's what's coming. Read that, Luke 6:26.
The book of Luke, chapter 6, verse 26. Woe unto you when all men shall speak well of you.
Woe unto you when all men speak well of you. Read.
For so did their fathers to the false prophets.
So did their fathers to the false prophets. Meaning what? They spoke well of the false prophets. Why? What did the false prophets do? Huh? Let me hear some answers. It says, woe unto you when men speak well of you. When all men speak well of you. Let me hear some answers. I want to hear the understanding of that scripture. Let me hear a Noah.
Two brothers.
Yeah, they were hypocrites.
Two brothers.
Nope, take a seat. I want to understand that scripture. Woe unto you when all men speak well of you. Let me hear Yakubu.
Basically, the false prophets told them what they wanted to hear.
Right.
They didn't correct them.
Right.
They didn't tell them about their sins.
Good.
Everything was okay.
There you go. Good. There you go. Just like today, you got Joel Osteen, T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar, Caesar Borgia. Who else we got? I don't watch them guys. Oh yeah, Joseph Prince. All these different people. Alright, so it says, woe unto you when all men speak well of you. Not saying that you don't have a good report with the body and the congregation. Not saying that. But if every single person likes you, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Guess what you're not doing? You're not issuing judgment. Because Israel is what? Rebellious and stiff-necked and hard-headed. So if everybody like you, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Y'all understand what we're saying, right?
Yes, sir.
Alright. Go ahead, bro. Get the brother the mic.
Yes, there's a precept to that. Isn't Isaiah 30:10?
Yep, that's one you can use. But go to Amos 5:10. Amos 5:10. I'm gonna show you why it says that.
The book of Amos, chapter 5, verse 10. They hate him.
They what?
They hate him.
They hate him what?
That rebuketh in the gate.
That rebuketh in the gate.
Yes.
Because you tell people the truth, which is the scriptures, not outside on the streets, but within the body. We learn the scriptures to teach them, but guess what? That's why it says in 1 Corinthians 6:2. No, you not that what? Dang, nobody read the Bible. No. Sheesh. Where my camp warriors at? We ain't got no precept kings no more. We used to, you know, there was something called precept kings when I first came in. That's a brother that know every precept. Precepticons. They don't make them no more. They don't make Precepticons. Back when I was coming up, we had Precepticons.
Right.
Precepticons are discontinued. Damn. I blame Periscope. I blame Periscope for that. Y'all get it too easy now. Nobody study. But go to 1 Corinthians 6 and 2. Go to that. Go to
Book of 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 2. Do ye not know that
Start at 1.
Verse 1. Dare any of you, having a matter against another, go to law before the unjust, and not before the saints?
And not before the saints. Read.
Do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matters?
You see that? Are you unworthy to judge the smallest matters? Guess who's issuing that judgment? The leaders. The leaders are issuing that judgment. And because of that, guess what? They're going to be hated. Y'all know people hated Christ, right?
Yes, sir.
They hated Christ. He couldn't come into the city. They said, get out of the city. Get it?
They hated Micaiah also.
Right.
He never spoke good well.
I hate him.
Yep. I love that scripture. That's a funny scripture. So, go to Luke 20 and 20. So they hate him that rebuketh in the gate. They hate him that rebuketh in the gate.
The book of Luke, chapter 20, verse 20. And they watched him and sent forth spies.
And they watched him and sent forth spies. You want to be a leader, guess what? You're going to have spies. It's like if you listen to any of that trilogy with Bishop, what he was dealing with, had people calling, recording conversations, waiting for you to say the wrong word. That's what you're waiting for. You want to be a leader? All right. You want to get that nice Passover garment? You want to be shining on the ads? That's what you got waiting for you. Read.
Which should feed themselves just men.
People are going to come amongst you, and they're going to feign themselves as just men. Meaning they're going to act one way, and inwardly, something completely different is going on in their mindset. They're not worrying about you. They're thinking about what can they do to take you down. Every word they're saying to you is the exact opposite of what they're saying. That's what's waiting for you. Want to be a leader? Read.
That they might take hold of his words. That so they might deliver him unto the power and authority of the governor.
So, understand, there were always spies amongst us. Always. There's spies right now, probably in this room. But there's going to be brothers and sisters that are not sincere in the body, in the congregations. Y'all know every movement on the face of the earth amongst the black men, here in America anyway, not on the face of the earth, in America. Y'all know that, what's called CIA, right? The CIA, you know they sent people to infiltrate the movements, right? COINTELPRO. So, y'all think we had what? It was the Memphis milestone. Y'all know everybody in the world seen that, right? Y'all don't think we have spies amongst us? I was talking with Captain Yadin. I was like, hey, you know they listening to our conversation, right? Like, yeah. But then it was funny. We got a brother that's actually in the Homeland Defense. He was like, yeah, they listen to everybody's conversation, so don't feel special. I was like, oh, well, they really listen to ours, though. They got 2 recorders. But understand, there's spies. There's spies. And guess what? They don't want the brother that just walked in. They want the top guy. They want the top guy. The guy that got the biggest title. The most numbers next to his name. So that's what you want. That's what you want if you want to be in the leadership position. Not only do you got your own people against you, got the other nations against you as well. You got to walk circumspect. Alright? So, 1 Corinthians 9. Go ahead, bring it out. What do you got?
No, I was just thinking, remember when Peter denied Christ, right? Why do you think Peter denied Christ? Peter was seeing what Christ was about to go through. You know, it got real to it. You know, hey, yeah. Hey, I stand up for you. I'm willing to die with you. I'll roll with you, Christ. And then he seen what was going on. Started backing up. The woman said, hey, he one of them. You was with him. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, I mean.
Hey, he said he cussed.
Yeah.
So what the F are you talking about? I ain't with that man over there.
There you go.
So, you know, as he said, you gotta be willing to take that on. You gotta know what the expected end is. Okay.
All praise. And it's heavy you said that. Because that's going into the leader you want to follow. You gotta, before you desire something, you gotta know what it's about. And that's what happens a lot of times, and it's true. They're like, brothers get raised up and then they gotta do stuff. They're like, I ain't signed up for this. Right. Nah, bro. Nah. Camp is all I want to do. I go to camp, that's it, bro. I ain't editing no videos. I ain't cleaning no toilets. I'm not traveling. I ain't going nowhere. I want to stay right here. Like, nah, Paul traveled. Christ, nah, nope. Like, bro, you ain't never been to another city? No. And I ain't trying to. It's like, alrighty then. Being the leader you want to follow. Being the leader you want to follow. Go to Sirach 34, I think it is. Or 32. I won't travel the travel scripture. 34.
The book of Sirach, chapter 34 and verse 9.
Yep.
A man that had traveled knoweth many things.
So you have to travel, man. If you want to be a leader of the people, you have to travel and see things. How can you lead the people? You're only going to go as far as your vision is. So as a leader, you got to stretch out and see stuff. Gives you a different perspective on life. Read.
And he that had much experience.
And he that what?
Had much experience.
Read.
Will declare wisdom. He that had no experience.
He that what?
Had no experience. Knoweth little.
Knoweth little. Read.
But he that had traveled is full of prudence. When I traveled, I saw many things.
So when you travel, you see many things. What happens when you don't travel?
You see nothing.
You don't see a damn thing. You see Hardee's and the liquor store, gun store, liquor store, gun store, liquor store. And that's what's feeding into your brain. You're never able to reach a different aspect of your thinking because you're stuck in a bubble. Y'all understand that?
Yes, sir.
Certain things that you see when you travel inspires you to do different stuff. You see different problems arise. You're like, dang. It's like when Bishop was talking about the Levitical law on dietary law. If you never visited Africa, Uganda and Sierra Leone, you never knew that you need to expound upon what bushmeat is. Because you don't know what the hell bushmeat is because you ain't never left Pine Hills. Like, what the hell is bushmeat? Oh, that's a different animal over there. It's like a rodent. Oh, so like, they can't eat it then. But you would never teach the people that if you never been there. So now, you got people in Africa that think they can eat bushmeat. Because you never traveled there and taught them. Y'all understand what I'm saying?
Sir.
It's a process. So you have to travel. Alright. So, 1 Corinthians 9:16. I'm almost done. 1 Corinthians 9:16. Being the leader you want to follow, the truth should not be a burden. Should not be a burden. If it's always a burden for you to do something, to be around the brothers, to communicate. Anybody that know me know I hate, I ain't gonna say hate. I really dislike people that don't communicate. I really do, because I think it's so easy to do. It's very, if you have a willing spirit and you want to. Like I said, I understand brothers are busy. I understand all that good stuff. I got 3 kids. I got a wife. I get that. I get it. But if you can't communicate, this truth. Give me Malachi 3:16 real quick. I'm gonna show you what it means.
Yep.
One of my favorite scriptures.
The book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 16. Then they that fear the Lord.
They that what?
Fear the Lord.
They that what?
Fear the Lord.
So what we're about to read is an attribute of a person that fears the Lord. Read.
Spake often.
Hold on. What they do?
Spake often. One to another.
They spake one to another. You speak to each other. It's not a mystery like, oh, hey, how you doing? Heard from you in months. All right, go to 1 Corinthians 9:16 and we out.
1 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 16. For though I preach the gospel, I have nothing to glory in. For necessity is laid upon me. Yea, woe is unto me if I preach not the gospel. For if I do this thing willingly, I have a reward.
So if I do it willingly, I have a reward. Read.
But if against my will, a dispensation of the gospel is committed unto me.
So you have to do it willingly. Nothing in this truth should be a burden. Nothing should be a burden. You gotta love it. You gotta have a genuine love for this stuff. For pushing the truth. In whatever office you're in, whether it's a fly mission, whether it's traveling, whether it's fixing the church van, whether it's painting the walls, whether it's teaching the children, whether it's sewing on fringes. It should be a love. It should be a love. Alright? So y'all good on that? Everybody understood the class?
Yes, sir.
All praise. All praise. Any questions on the class? Any questions? Oh, good. So we wait for
I got one question for everybody. Who ready to be a leader?
Okay. All praise. All praise.
Now they will see the true men of God. We are not black men, we are the Israelites. Take care of us. And our children too. We have repented. How are you? People want to know, who's the king?
Oh, nation of Israel, it's time to return to the Father. Oh, nation of Israel, it's time to return to the Father.
Now why they trying to make it so hard to serve God? And why when I say that I'm a Jew it sound odd? For years I've been walking around saying that I'm a black man. I ain't saying that no more, it sounds wrong, man.
This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcasts, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.